Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are going to be making a Halloween wreath. Originally I wasn't going to do one this year. I wasn't really in the mood to do it, but then when we went to Michael's and we did that little walkthrough and I got to see all of the little decorative stuff they had for crafts and things, I just really kind of got inspired and decided that we would do one. And this one is going to have quite a bit of decorative stuff in it because I may have gone a little bit overboard buying decorative stuff for this wreath, but I think it's going to be so fun. So let's take a look at the stuff we have to make this wreath. Now, fortunately, I didn't have to buy any mesh at all because I have I have two big totes up in my attic of mesh and ribbon and wreath making stuff left over from previous projects. And I had plenty of mesh for this wreath. And I didn't really have a lot of ribbon, but that's okay because I got some ribbon at Michael's while I was there. So I'll show you that. But I found this roll of just plain black mesh, and there's a lot on here. It looks like I opened it and only used a very small bit because it looks like it's almost completely intact. So we have this nice roll of mesh here. Now you can get these at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics, Dollar Tree. Although the mesh you get at Dollar Tree is not as it's not as stiff and nice as this, and you don't get as much on the roll, but it is cheaper. I think this is one of the rolls I got at Michael's at some point for probably another Halloween wreath, and I ended up not using much of it. It does look like I used a little bit, but not much. So we have a bunch of that, and then I have this mesh here. This came from Joann Fabrics, I believe. Yeah, look at this. Is pretty. I think this is some I bought a year or two ago, and it's really neat because it's a little shiny. It's not as big of a roll, but that's okay. We have some purple in here and then black, and then it kind of fades over here into this orange color. So this one I never even opened. I haven't even been to Joann Fabrics to see what they have for Halloween. We really need to go there and check it out. It's hard for me to get to all the stores, for every holiday, and sometimes I forget or I just don't have time to get to all of them, especially now that I'm working full-time in an office. It's a lot harder for me to find the time to go. I do the best I can, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And sometimes I go to make a video and it just doesn't work out, like it's really noisy in there or sometimes I do try, but it just doesn't work out. Anyway, this one came from Joann Fabrics, and I do find that Joann Fabrics has the most interesting mesh, and they often have it in colors and patterns that I don't see anywhere else. So that is where I found this interesting one here. So I have a whole roll of that. And then I found a roll of just plain purple mesh. This was from Dollar Tree. It's not even part of their Halloween stuff. This is part of their general, just regular inventory. And they just have decorative mesh on this little piece of paper. It's not attached to the mesh. It's just stuck down in there and held in place by the cellophane, which is tucked into the little roll there. So I have a roll of that, and I have two rolls of this mesh. Now this is part of their Halloween mesh, and it has black, white, and orange, and it just repeats with gold in between the colors there. Actually, I found two rolls of this in my stash, in my wreath stash. So I have two rolls of that, and I think with all of that together, that should be plenty to do the mesh part of this wreath. Now we're going to use a 14-inch wreath form. I buy these at Dollar Tree. You can get other sizes and types of wreath forms at other stores, but I think the best deal for a wreath form is this one from Dollar Tree. It's only $1.25. It's a 14-inch wreath ring, as they call it here. Now when we attach the parts to this wreath, or to this ring, we're only going to be attaching it to these two little rings here. the two in the middle. The outermost and innermost bits, we're not going to attach anything to that. We're going to do the bundles of mesh and ribbon first. Once we attach all that, we'll be ready to attach our decorative stuff. But this is the wreath form I'm going to be using. Now, if you've never seen me make a wreath before, welcome, first of all. If you've ever thought of making a wreath, just watch what I do. It's if you just follow the steps, it's very simple. And once you learn the basic technique, you can do this with any kind of wreath. You can take this technique and make it your own. You can do different themes, different colors. You can make wreaths of any kind. We're going to be doing the sunburst technique with this wreath, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. And it's so fun and it's so easy. One thing I love to do is make these wreaths while I watch something. I'll have my phone propped up and I'll be watching a video or listening to music or a podcast or whatever. It's just a nice little thing to do. Like today, it's very rainy and cold outside, so it's a great thing to do, inside if the weather's not great, or you just want something kind of relaxing to do. Something like this is perfect. So again, you can get these in craft stores. Usually when I do them, I use the ones from Dollar Tree, and I haven't had any trouble with them. Oh, but I do want to mention one thing I have started to notice a little bit with some of these wreath forms from Dollar Tree. When you pick it up, just you don't have to crush it. Just take your hand and gently go like this. Just test it and make sure it's attached properly, because every now and then, maybe it's anecdotal, I hope it's not going to become a common thing, but every now and then I will pick up one and I will notice it's not attached very well and it feels kind of loose. Yeah, I don't get those. I keep checking until I find one that's good. So I have run across a few that felt kind of like they just weren't attached very well, and I don't want to make a wreath with one of those because it may come apart. And for the ribbon, I have two wide ribbons. These came from Michael's, didn't they? Yeah, they did. This is glow-in-the-dark ribbon, and it has spiders on it. Look at the spiders. Now, it looks like they have big bulbous butts. They don't. That's the cellophane on the outside telling you it's glow-in-the-dark. It looks like it's part of the spider, but it's not. But it's glow-in-the-dark wired ribbon, so we're going to be using some of this. I probably won't use the whole thing because there's a lot on here. It's 25 feet. It's 1.5 inches wide and 25 feet, so I know I'm not going to put all that in there. I'll save the rest of it for another day. And then I have this 1.5 inch ribbon here. It's purple velvet. Look at that. Now this doesn't glow in the dark. That's okay. It's a wired ribbon. You don't have to buy a wired ribbon to make these wreaths. You really don't. You can use any kind. If it's wired, that's fine. Some of the ribbon I use is wired. Some of it is not. And it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. So we have that. So those are my two wider ribbons. And then I picked up this big cluster of ribbons here. It's just a nice variety of different types of kind of Halloween looking ribbon. This was pretty inexpensive. It was on sale. I think it was only $4.99. Some of it is a little bit wider, as you can see here. This bit is probably 1.5 inches. Most of it is 5/8 inch. Some of it is about 1/2 inch. Little spider webs. Oh, this one has a little witch on her broom. Look at that. It's me going to work. They caught me on my way to work. Here's a thin ribbon with little spiders on it. Yeah. So we can cut this up. Now, for your mesh and your ribbon, I try to cut my pieces to approximately 9 inches long. It doesn't have to be exact. You can play around with it and see if you like that length for the mesh and the ribbon. After you make a wreath or two, you kind of get a feel for what you like and what you don't like. Maybe you like a lot of ribbon. Maybe you don't. You don't have to use ribbon at all if you don't want to. Or maybe you don't want to use much, just a little. Whatever looks good to you, that's the right amount to use. Sometimes I use a lot. Sometimes I don't. With this one, I probably won't use a ton. Oh, there's a polka dotted ribbon. Look at that one. That's pretty. It's got orange and white polka dots. I might use I'm going to use some. These stripes are cool. I'm not going to use all this, no. But I will save whatever I don't use, and we'll make another Halloween wreath with it in the future. So now I get to show you the fun stuff, the decorative parts. I got so much fun stuff. We're going to have so many fun things in this wreath. The first thing I have is a witch's hat. Look at it. Ooh, it's very fancy. Look at all the detail. We have this ribbon back here, a little bit of tulle, a little rose, and it has this sparkly trim going around it with the satin ribbon folded beneath. It's actually really nice. The underside is felt, but all you're going to see is the top. We are going to nestle this into the wreath. I use wire cutters to remove these wires. I don't leave these in there. I will probably cut it all the way up to here, and then I'm just going to take some hot glue and apply it to this felt on the underside. And I will hot glue it into the wreath with that, and I'm not going to be using that. So you don't have to fasten these in any certain way. If you like to use hot glue, you can. You just have to keep in mind the weight of the decorative item. If it's a heavy thing, hot glue may not work. You know, it may fall out. So you may have to find another way to attach it with some pipe cleaners or something. Yeah. And but most of this I'm probably just going to glue in there. Here's another one. Look at this. It's like a crazy plant. It's like from Little Shop of Horrors. It has these big leaves. All of these pieces I think were 40% off at Michael's. They are a little pricey though. Like, well, this one was $5.99. The witch's hat was, this was $8.99 here. So, but everything was 40% off. I think that's why they price it so high. So, because it seems like it's always on sale. So you're really not, you're basically paying what I would consider to be a fair price when it's 40 or 50% off. But, yeah. So this one just looks like a crazy plant. So we're going to glue that in there. I found these sprigs. This one is a little bit more purple. This one is black. So we'll cut these down. We'll take them and cut them here. And we'll just kind of have them sticking out of the wreath somewhere. You know, I first started making wreaths. I think I was a little bit more, I wasn't as bold with my decorative stuff. I was kind of, I would hold back. Like I would just add just a few little things. Like I was just dipping my toe in the water of making wreaths. But now I'm going full Little Shop of Horrors with my decorative stuff. I love that. I think it was when I spotted this that I decided, oh, we're making a wreath. I want to make a wreath just so I can put that in it. I just thought it was great. One thing you'll notice about this though, it's almost like a bridesmaid's toss or a bride's toss bouquet. The way it's sort of bundled together. That's, you know, if you're getting married on Halloween. Yeah, it'd be cool. Now, when you have this big bundle of stuff down here, I'm not going to try to cut this because it would just kind of fall apart. And it would be kind of hard to cut anyway because each piece of this has a wire in it. It's plastic coated wire, and I'm not going to try to cut it. I will remove this, and I will just kind of try to wedge it down into the wreath and glue it. I would be putting glue on the underside of these leaves. And I always manage to get glue on my hand somewhere. No matter how hard I try not to, I always get glue on myself. It burns because it's hot glue. Don't do that. I do not recommend it. Oh, and I found some mini crows. I have two little mini crows. We're going to put two little crows in there. Look at them. They're talking to each other. These were $9.99. For these mini crows. These are from Ashland Halloween, and again that's part of the Michael's inventory. They were very cute. I didn't see they were $10 until I got up to the register. I got them anyway. We have this spooky little layout. Look at this. It's 3 balls. Look. This was this was only $4.99. It is a decorative pick, and it has this little fuzzy stuff up here. One leaf. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So this I would cut. It's a little harder though because it's kind of thick, but you can cut it with wire cutters. And then I would just glue that down in there. Oh, this one's fun. Here's a small pick here. This one was $2.99, and it has this papery black and white leaf and a silver skull and a little foliage back here and another black and white leaf with the skull. I have so much to put on this. I went a little crazy with the stuff, and I love it. Look at this. It's a rose with an eyeball in the middle. That was $3.99. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. I love it. It's a styrofoam ball. And it looks like it was hand painted, but it probably wasn't. It's probably just some sort of little adhesive thingy. And this is fun. I only found one of these. Venus flytraps. You know they grow here in North Carolina. Venus flytraps do. Look at them. Now I don't know if I'm going to leave these together. I may actually kind of break it up into 2 clusters perhaps. Sometimes when you're doing a wreath, you kind of have to make these decisions as you go. When I bought this originally, I thought I would leave it together, but I think I'm actually going to split it up. I don't want to have just one. I want to have like 2 clusters, like split it like this maybe. I'm not sure. I might leave it together. I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm going to do it one way, but then when it's time to, do it, I end up changing my mind. So I'll just have to see how I feel when we get there. But they only had one of these, and I bought it. This was $9.99. You could get an actual Venus flytrap cheaper than that. And we have another spooky decorative pick here. This was $5.99. It's pretty though. Look at this pretty stuff back here. It has glitter, and it's pretty, and it's just really, really cool. All kinds of little stuff, little sparkly berry looking things, and a black rose here. I don't know where I'm going to put all this. Oh, there's more. I have this purple glittery stuff. This was $3.99. Just another decorative pick. Some little leaves down here. I would probably leave that. I might leave that together as a cluster. It's surprisingly heavy though. And like I say, you do have to be mindful of the weight of your decorative items when you decide how you want to attach them to the wreath. You don't want them to fall out. So you want them to stay in place. And some things you may not want it to flop over. So you might put it in there, and like if you have it on a flat surface, when you're attaching your decorative items, you have to think about gravity, because when you have it vertical, like you're going to put it on your door or a wall or whatever, it may, when you put it vertical, it may do this. So you want to test it to see how it's going to appear. How is it going to present when you have it vertical? And sometimes you may have to find another way to fasten them so they stay upright. Like if you want them to be like this instead of that, you have to find a way to kind of hold them in. And sometimes you can just take a little piece of a pipe cleaner. What I might do is take like a black pipe cleaner and loop it around one of these, and then kind of wedge it down into the frame and wrap it around part of that wreath frame, the wreath form. And it's not really going to show, but it's going to hold it up. So I have done that, especially with heavier things. Even if it's not kind of floppy to start with, if I think in the future, after a while it might start to droop, I'll just go ahead and just grab a pipe cleaner or, a little twist tie or something to kind of just attach it to the wreath form. And I think this is my favorite. Now this is going to go, I think this is going to go in the middle of the wreath. A big black velvet hand. It even, you can't see it. It looks like a void. It's like there's just nothing. It's getting me. It even has like veins in the back of the hand. It's very detailed. It's like they just took a plaster cast of somebody's hand and made this. It has a lot of detail to it, but you can't see it because it's absorbing all the light around it. Whoa. I thought this was just so cool. This was $5.99. So I think this is going to go like in the middle of the wreath. So it's going to be like reaching up out of the wreath. Something like that. I don't know. I may put it in the middle of the wreath and decide I don't like it and take it out. We shall see. So that's my decorative stuff. And then to attach everything to your wreath form, you need pipe cleaners or chenille stems or whatever you want to call them. I found in my stash a pack of 25 fuzzy sticks, and they're just black. So this is going to blend in with everything. Honestly though, you can use pretty much any color because when you get everything into the wreath, these really aren't going to show unless you look at the back side of the wreath. You're not going to see these. So if you have some already, the color doesn't really matter. If you already have some and you don't want to go out and buy more, it's okay because they're really not going to show unless you just worry about how the back side of your wreath looks. Personally, I like for the back to kind of match the colors in the wreath. They don't have to at all. We will probably we're going to do bundles for this wreath. We'll probably do at least 50. Now this is a pack of 25 of these little pipe cleaners, chenille stems. We're going to be cutting each one of these in half. So this is going to be a total of 50. You need a half of a pipe cleaner for each bundle for your wreath. If that's not enough, I like to always have a few extra available. These are some that I had left over from other projects. You can buy these giant packs of pipe cleaners at any craft store. I got these at Walmart in the 25 pack from Walmart. And I have some dark brown ones in here that I could use. I don't think there are any, no, there are no black ones in here, but I have dark brown. It's close enough. It's dark, so it's going to blend in if I need more than the 25 I already have here. And I have some dark green and, you know. So I'm trying to use up some of my old pipe cleaners. So, yeah, so I'm gonna, if I need them, I can use some of those. I'm trying to use up all my old ones before I go buy any more. There's a cat. Are you a Halloween cat? She's in my lap. So this is Boop. We used to call her Olive. Well, nobody ever called her Olive, really. She had no name for a while. We just called her the kitten, but she's 3 now. So, yeah. So we recently came across another cat. A little cat came into our life, and his name is Marty. And he was just neutered, and he's doing great. He's actually sleeping on my bed over there. They were both sleeping on my bed. Everybody's getting along great. So that's really good. So I'm going to go ahead and get the mesh and the ribbons ready and the pipe cleaners, and we're not going to be doing anything with the decorative parts right now. Those will come later. I'm going to go ahead and get all the stuff ready to start making our bundles, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, I have everything cut up here. We have our little pipe cleaners cut sort of in half. They weren't exactly cut in half. It doesn't matter. And I've cut up some of my ribbon. Here's that glow-in-the-dark ribbon with the spiders. And we have the velvet ribbon here. And I'm going to show you what I do with this ribbon that's a little bit special. It's going to make it look special in your wreath. Here's a piece of the glow-in-the-dark ribbon. You see how I've cut a little notch in it right here? That's called dovetailing. It's dovetailing. And it's so easy. I'm going to show you how to do it. Now I will say with the really skinny ribbon like this right here, I really just kind of cut that at an angle. You can pinch this and dovetail this, but it's a little harder. But I like to give the end just a little bit of flair instead of just cutting it straight across like this. I mean, you can put your ribbon in your wreath looking like this if you want to. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to dovetail it, you just take each piece and you fold it in half lengthwise like this. You don't have to crease it or anything. Take a pair of scissors, and right here, this is the fold right here where we folded it in half. You're just going to cut off that corner right there. And you end up with a lot of little pieces. I like to keep a trash can nearby to put all the little bits in. But see, so instead of being just straight across, you have this nice little dovetail to it. And it takes a little bit more time to do your ribbon this way. But I just think it looks extra nice in your wreath to take the time to dovetail it. So you can do it with this 5/8 inch ribbon here. I like it with the little witches on it. You can do this the same. I find though that scissors like this work better. These are Fisker's spring-loaded little scissors. Just watch it though, because they're very sharp on the end. I keep them in a drawer closed up where I'm not going to accidentally bump into them. I find these little spring-loaded scissors work better with this kind of ribbon. So again, here's the fold. You just cut off that little corner and you get a little fancy end to your ribbon. Just like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect or anything. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, I keep a little trash can nearby to put all my pieces in. Here's that velvet ribbon. Again, you just fold it in half lengthwise. And you just cut. It's very easy. This ribbon makes a bit of a mess when you cut it. Okay. So we have our ribbon all cut. I have some little skinny pieces here that I cut. And each piece is cut to approximately 9 inches in length. And I have some more here. See, I've dovetailed all of these pieces too. Yep. So we're going to make bundles. I'm going to show you how to do that. For each bundle, we're going to need one of these pipe cleaner pieces cut in half. However much ribbon you want to use, and your mesh. So I start with a piece of mesh. That's not 9 inches. I didn't cut that one long enough, but it doesn't matter. For the sunburst technique, which we're going to do for this wreath, you grab these little opposite corners here, give it a little tug, hold on to it. Now this is that Dollar Tree mesh, and you don't want to handle it too roughly because it's not super durable. You want to hold that tension there. See, I'm still holding it. Bring your fingers in, roll it up, and you're going to have to hold it in the middle or it will not stay this way. Just like you made a little bow tie, almost. Now at this point, you can use a chip clip or clothespin, whatever you want to use to hold this, because I think we're going to do 4 pieces of mesh per bundle. I just hold it between my fingers like that. And you grab another piece of mesh. Here's a piece of that shiny Joanne mesh. Grab these corners again, just the opposite. Look how shiny, my goodness. See, grab these corners, pull it a little bit, roll it together, put it here, and I'm just holding them together. Here's a piece of the black mesh, opposite corners. You pull them, roll it together, put it here, and then finally I have a piece that it sticks together like that you just have to kind of gently pull them apart. And finally we have a piece of this purple mesh that is sticking to itself. This is some of that Dollar Tree mesh again. Opposite corners, pull it, and then pinch it together, and it's sticking to everything. You can have a lot of pieces sticking out like this. You can just pull them off and, put them wherever. At this point, we're going to add some ribbon to it. I'm going to start out with the wider piece of ribbon here, the spiders. And let's grab some bats. We'll do a green piece with some bats. Put it on top. So I'm holding all of this together. And yeah, you have lots of little pieces. Again, it's good to keep a little trash can nearby to put the little bits in. So now, you're going to take your half of a pipe cleaner. You're going to lay it across perpendicularly, and you're going to take these ends and fold them under. Grab all this, fold it in half. You can grab it like this, it won't hurt it. Kind of pinch it together and give it at least 3 twists. I think I did 4. Now you can let it go. Boing. And at this point, you can kind of fluff it out, or you can wait until you attach it to your wreath to fluff it back out. So that is our first bundle. Now we are going to have, like I said, about 50 bundles similar to this one on this 14-inch wreath form. That's why I find it to be a fun thing to do, like while you're watching TV or watching, something on YouTube or whatever, or listening to music. It's a fun little thing to do because it does take some time. Now, if I'm just making a wreath, not for a video, because making a video I have to stop, I have to set up everything, I take the time to explain and show you. I can do a wreath start to finish in probably, if I wasn't making a video, 2.5 hours probably. But when I'm making a video, it's 3 to 4 hours total. I did one time, I can't remember what it was. There was one that took me almost 5 hours. And I don't remember why. I don't remember what that was. It was, I don't know what was so crazy about that one. But yeah, they do take some time. But if it's a rainy day on the weekend and you don't want to go do anything, it's a fun thing to do. Okay, so there's that one. I'm not going to put ribbon in every bundle, but for the ones I show you, I will. Okay, again, we grab another piece of ribbon or mesh. And you can put them together in every bundle in the same order. I kind of change it up. You could do your bundles where you have all 4 pieces are the same. You can do it, however you want to do it, whatever you think looks good. That's the way you should do it. Here's our first piece. Here. Our second piece. You grab these opposite corners, give a little tug. Roll it together, lay it on top, and you are just constantly picking up pieces. And that is another thing about the Dollar Tree mesh. It sheds more than the more expensive mesh does. But I still use it all the time. Here's a piece, opposite corners, give it a tug. I'm going to be using a lot more of this plain black mesh. I'm not going to use as much of the colorful mesh, just because that's the way I want to do it. I do what I want. There. Okay. And we'll take a piece of this purple ribbon, put it on there. And with that, let's do the spider webs, the little spider webs here. Another half of a pipe cleaner, lay it across perpendicularly, bring it down, grab it, fold it in half, 1, 2, 3, and let it go. There. They may not look like much now. Wait till you see them all on the wreath form. It's going to look really cool. I hope, anyway. That's our second bundle there. We're going to keep going. Take another piece of mesh. Look at these dang pieces everywhere. Grab it, pull it, roll it. You don't have to roll it super tight, just enough to kind of get your lovely little bow tie like that. A purple piece. Grab it, pull it, roll it like that. And another one. Grab it, this, the faster you get. Yeah, eventually you'll get to a point where you can just about do these things in your sleep. I probably could. That'd be funny, wake up in the morning, have a finished wreath by your bed. That'd be a hoot. So we have our spiders and our witches. Look at them. I think probably the pipe cleaner part is the trickiest part. I mean, once you learn it, you're good though. It's kind of hard to hold on to everything and to get the ends around here. But you get your own little technique now. You won't have any trouble. I know you won't. There. There we go. Fluff it out a little bit. That's our third one. Let's do one more. Grab it like this. Roll it up like that. Here's another one. Grab it, pull it, roll it together kind of in the middle. Put it there. Here's one. Pull. Put it on top. And here's our fourth one. I can't get over how shiny this mesh is. My gosh. Okay, let's do polka dots. We got our little polka dots. And we'll do the bats again. Yeah, like that. Fold it. And if you're using a lot of Dollar Tree mesh, you could probably do more pieces of mesh in the bundles because it's kind of thin mesh. It's not as stiff as the more expensive mesh. So you just have to figure out what you want your bundles to look like. Okay, so I'm going to grab a wreath form and I will show you how we attach these. Now the great thing is you don't need any hot glue or anything to attach these to the bundles. Check this out. So here we have our wreath form. Now there's a front side and a back side to these wreath forms if you've never worked with one before. The front is going to kind of bow out like this. See, it has kind of an arch to it. It's like a little arc. This is the convex side, so it's going sort of bulging out a little bit right here. There you go. The back side is going to be concave, so it's more like whoop, you know. So when we place these bundles on here, we're going to be looking at the back side of the wreath form. So this is the back, so it's concave. It's like that. So you take one of your bundles here, and remember how we have these two pieces of the pipe cleaner? Well, they do serve a purpose. And again, we're only going to be using these two wires in the middle. We're not going to attach anything here or here. Take it under. So now it's going to be facing out. This is the front side back here, and we're looking at the back. So you take the two pieces, the two ends, you kind of have them straddle these two wires. You bring them together, and you twist them together. Get it on there, twist them. And then I will take this part that sticks up and just kind of tuck it under a little bit. You don't have to, but it's kind of pokey because, you know, there's a wire in there. So I like to just kind of tuck it under. Now let me tell you something about your supplies. Say you have, I'm just going to use this as an example. Say you have a ribbon. Let's say you have this ribbon right here. But you only have, I don't know, 12 pieces of this ribbon. And you want to evenly distribute it on your wreath form. What I do, if I have a limited supply of something, or if I only want to put a little bit of something in there, but I don't want it all clumped up in certain areas, I would go ahead and make my bundles with whatever it is. And so you naturally have 6 sections to this wreath form. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in each section, I would put so I have 12, just as an example. I would put in each section 2 bundles that have this in it. So that way it's going to be distributed more evenly around. So that's just something to keep in mind, because that was something I did early on that I discovered, like, whenever I started adding my bundles, I would just go, just go in a pattern, fill this section, but then I realized, oh, like, I have all this in, like, right here. I wanted it spread out. So, but if that happens, you can remove these bundles and move them around however you want to. That's the great thing about this. It's not attached permanently. You just untwist it and put it somewhere else on the wreath form. It's really easy. Now, I'm probably not going to keep all of these together in this section because I don't think I want a ton of ribbon in here, because it's going to take away from all the decorative stuff. But just so you can get a feel for what it's going to look like, we're going to attach all 4 of the bundles here in this section. So here's a second one. I'm going to just bring it in again. We're still looking at the back side of that wreath form. We'll take our 2 ends, straddle these 2 wires, twist them, just keep twisting, just keep going, twist, twist. And then I'm going to tuck that twisted wire under. And they move pretty easily, so like, say you wanted to put something between these 2, you can just slide them apart and put whatever in there, because especially if you haven't put a bunch of bundles on here, it's very easy to slide them around. Obviously I can't just slide it over to this next section because this is in the way. But if I did want it in this section, I could very easily undo it and just, twist it on over here. Nothing to it. And I've had to do that many times. Like, I'll get them all on there and I look at it and I think, yeah, let's move that around a little. And sometimes I do. Okay, here's our third one. Remember, we made 4. This is our third one. So we bring those 2 ends up here, twist them together, tuck those twisted ends under, slide it over, and here we have one more right here. Straddle those 2 wires, bring those ends together and twist, tuck them under. Now we're going to turn it over and I'll show you what it looks like. Ta-da! Now you see, when this wreath is finished, it's going to stick out pretty far away from that wreath form. So the wreath form is only 14 inches, but the actual wreath itself is going to be quite a bit wider than 14 inches. And it comes in too, like this. And at this point, you can take your ribbon and kind of, straighten it out or whatever you want to do. So that's what it looks like right now. Now, it may not look like much. You may say, that looks like a mess. And maybe it does. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep working on these bundles. I'm going to keep making more. We have 6 sections. You're going to have at least 8 to 10 bundles per section on a wreath form like this. So I'm going to keep making my bundles. And when we come back, I will show you what it looks like once we've completely filled this whole wreath form. Okay, I have finished creating all of the bundles and adding them to the wreath, and I wanted to show you how the wreath looks before we decorate it, because most of the time, and this time for sure, sometimes when I reach this point, I look at it and I think it looks really great just the way it is. So even if you don't want to add anything to it, or say you just haven't been able to find anything, or you don't have anything to add as far as decorations go, even with just the mesh and the ribbons, it can turn out really cute. It can turn out really pretty. So I'll show you how it looks without the decorations. Look at that. Here's the back, and I used all the black pipe cleaners. I ended up not having to use any others, so it just blends in nicely. But this is how it looks, and I would put that up. I mean, I'd be proud to put that up just as it is with nothing Nothing at all. Now, some people ask, why don't I put something in the middle of all my wreaths? Because I don't want to. You know, I do what I want. And if I don't feel like putting anything in the middle, I don't. You don't have to. You could just leave it empty. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. This one we are, though. I'm gonna put. I got my hand here, and I couldn't decide. Like, do I want it sticking out this way, or do I want it this way? But I was thinking this way. It just looks like it's grabbing the wreath, but sticking out like that. See, like, wedge it down in there like that, and then we'll have all the other decorations going around it. Yeah, so I took some of the other decorative items and I went ahead and cut the sticky out parts off, so I could just take my hot glue gun and just glue them in. You know, I just take a look at it and I just decide where I think it should go, and then I just glue it in. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to take all of these fun little crazy little things, I'm going to glue them into this wreath, and then we will come back and see how it looks once it's all finished. Okay, I have finished adding the decorations to the wreath. I really like it. I think it turned out really nice. It's kind of hard to see because the hand is so dark. It's velvet and it's very hard to see. It just looks like a big black hole, but the hand is like this. And I put the little witch hat over here, and we have this big thing here. We have this sprig here with the little black and white leaves and the little silver skull. I put some Venus flytraps here, and I put them over here too. I decided to split them up a little bit. So there it is. Yes, it's very dark. It is kind of hard to see because a lot of it is very dark. We have our 3 fuzzy balls here. There's our eyeball down here. Yeah, so I think it turned out really, really cool. I think this is a nice little Halloween wreath. I think it's very lovely. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed getting to see this big old wreath, and you can see now how much bigger it is than the wreath form. It sticks way out, so it's quite a bit bigger than the wreath form. And you know, I showed you the technique. If you've ever thought about trying something like this, I show you step by step exactly what to do. This stuff I just glued in with a hot glue gun. You can attach it any way you want to. Yeah, you should definitely try it out, whether you do it for a Halloween wreath or some other kind. You know, fall's coming up and Christmas and the holidays and everything. You could do a wreath for that. You could do a winter themed wreath. You could go ahead and get a head start on next year. You could do Valentine's Day. It might be kind of hard to find this stuff right now, but you could find some red mesh and pink and white and do something. You know, and you know, just to get a little bit of practice, and then, you know, as you do it more and more, you can try different things. You might find that you really enjoy doing it, or you might just do one and decide you hate it and never do it again, but you won't know until you try. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again really soon.